Okay, we're live. Kind of. Oh my goodness. Okay, welcome back to another episode of Self-Care is My Job. I'm Samantha Long. I almost never say that, but I remembered this time. Hi, I'm Samantha Long. I'm the host of the show. And I'm here with one of my closest friends. This is like an amazing experience that I get to do this. Like I meet so many people and then I get to bring it back into my circle. And it's so nice. Hi, Jenn. I love you.
Hi. Love you too.
So this is Jenn Bongiorno Gelardi, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her own self, but I'm going to introduce her, like I said, as one of my closest friends. And what's really interesting about this is me and Jenn know each other from the wine world, and I've talked a whole bunch about my experience doing wine tastings with Traveling Vineyard for almost 5 years and how awesome that was and how I met so many amazing people, and Jenn is definitely one of them. But what's really super interesting about this, we're going to talk about momming. We're going to talk about mom life a bit, I think, because I like, just the concept of just kind of like drumming it down to like, let's get real about some things that we're dealing with, especially given the times. But also we're going to, we're going to talk about Jenn's experience with Sober September. So us being wine friends, historically, obviously we have evolved to much more than that. And we've worked together on other levels ever since then and just connected on other levels. Um, but yeah, I really want to know about your experience having done Sober September since we are doing Sober October in the Facebook group over at Self Care with Sam. So this should be a cool experience. Jenn, how's life treating you these days?
It's going. Yeah,
Yeah, fun times. So you're homeschooling now.
I am. I'm a homeschool mama. That's right.
How's that feel? How's it treating you?
Honestly, it feels very liberating. Um,
Okay,
yeah, yeah, I
good.
know. I mean, I hear that from all the homeschool moms. I have my daughter Serena. She's 8. She's a student. She loves to learn and she loves to be engaged with a teacher. And when we were tossing the idea around, we're going to homeschool. Let's see how it goes. Let's see what happens in September. And when the rules didn't really fit our lifestyle, I said, I think I'm going to homeschool you. And I was waiting for her to like cry. I'm going to miss my friends, and it wasn't. She was like, yeah. She was like,
Mm.
let's go to the teacher store. Let's go pick out supplies. Like she was on board with me. So she definitely
Let's
has
go
helped.
buy some stuff.
Yeah, let's go shopping, mommy. Yes, that's our thing. So, but she's really doing well, and I'm using a curriculum for her, but I'm also kind of like eclectic pulling pieces based on what she's interested in. So we're kind of like starting off there, like let her get engaged in the learning process, let her kind of have more control over things, and then of course there's some reading and writing and math, the basic stuff that she needs to have. But it's going well. And then I have my 4-year-old son, Dominic, and he's our little sidekick. We're doing some pre-K stuff, handwriting, shapes, colors, numbers, alphabet, simple stuff like that. And he sits alongside us and we do our thing. So it's
Mm,
going good.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have to ask you, like, in my head, not that I have, like, absolutely have considered this. Um, and every time I visualize this possibility of homeschooling my daughter, who is 6 and in
Yeah.
first grade, Aria, I just imagine us fighting all day,
Mhm.
especially having experience virtual and having that be pretty much the outcome anytime that I would try to like stay on top of her and make
Yeah.
sure that she paid attention. That's when we would fight. And then is when I would let her just like do her own thing and just put the tablet up and let her, kind of follow along on her own and kind of be a little more hands off. She did a lot better. So
Mhm.
then for me, I mean, obviously every kid is different. So that's probably the number one thing. But I'm just like, so I'm happy for you that, the kids are engaging with you and that they're not, how sometimes the children can be really much better behaved and more focused when it's not their parent. And
Someone
then
else.
when they
Absolutely.
come around you, especially the mom, right? They
Mhm.
come around the mom and the shit hits the fan and their
Yep.
behavior goes out the window. And it's just the way it is. So that's what I kind of like always think you would be up against when choosing to
Sure.
hold homeschool. So
And I
I'm
think that's
happy to,
a
yeah.
very common misconception, I would say, only because I'm not saying that there are definitely some, like my mom and I were oil and water. I mean, big time. I loved her to death. She loved me to death. And sometimes we almost got to death with each other, So I can't even imagine that, but who knows, right? I will say this: when your child was on virtual, so was mine, and it was difficult. Again, my daughter's a total student. She was like, day one, I'm on virtual. She was like, I got this, mommy. Like, she was so ready. And then towards the end of the school year, I'd walk in and she was like hanging off the side of her chair. I'd walk in and I'd go, what are you doing? Like, sit up. Your teacher can see you. She was done. The virtual, I don't believe can truly be a long-term option. I don't think it's the healthiest option to be sitting in front of a computer at a small young mind, an all-day schooling, even just hours like that, especially so young, and then having that teacher instructing 20 kids. It's just a lot, and I didn't think it was ideal for anybody. And I agree, like that whole like trying to help in that moment, you weren't her teacher, so she got pushed back, right? Perhaps if you were the one who was, teaching her, especially if you came in with the idea of like the eclectic style where you're pulling things that interests her, going to the library, letting her pick up books, sitting with her. Would you like me to read that to you? Giving her the option, yes, mommy, no, mommy, whatever it would be. I think you might see more of a more beautiful, open experience
Mhm.
than that. But not every kid is a student that way. Not every kid has a thirst for learning and a love for learning like that. So I'm not saying that everybody's going to have that experience. And you might have a whole nother mom on here going, I don't know what that one was talking about, but we're dealing with hell over here. Like, you
Right.
might have that. You know what I mean? But so far, we're in October and we're doing all right. So
Yeah. Still early on, but at the same
yeah,
time, I mean, yeah, we're getting in now, so it's like that. I'm so happy. That sounds it sounds like a dream, honestly, because I could see
for
how it
now.
could be liberating,
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
How many, like I'm assuming you spend much less time, they
Two
spend
hours
much less time in active,
2 hours
learning
a
mode.
day, and it's not like 2 hours straight. There's, it's after breakfast. We start cracking open what we're working on. We'll take a snack break if they're hungry, and maybe even go outside for a little play if it's a nice day. Come back in. Let's finish up our work. Let's tie it up. Done. Okay, it's time for lunch. We're done for the day officially, but we're always learning. So then maybe we go to the library, maybe we go to the zoo, maybe we go to the museum, maybe we go to the farm, maybe we go, shopping, and I give them a list and say, okay, guys, let's find out what it is. And we pick out, delicious fruits and vegetables, and we talk about how they're nutritious for us. And, you know, it's always learning. So it doesn't just turn off, once the clock is off.
That's the thing, yeah, because you have now put on your teacher hat,
Hmm.
you know?
Yep.
So then it, yeah, it changes things. So do you feel like it's affecting your relationship with your kids like one way or
Yeah,
the other?
I do.
Enhancing?
Um, yeah, my family's very close. We have a very tight knit unit. My husband, myself, and my two kids. We're just like always together, always on top of each other. It's just who we are. We love spending time together. So we have that. But I will say this: when she was going to school, um, in the mornings, it would be like, "Come on, you have to get up. What are you? You're not even dressed yet. Come on. Oh my God, look at your hair. Come here. Let me
This
brush
is
your hair.
where I'm at.
There's knots, right? So then, because it's a girl, and you got to brush those knots. And oh, you're hurting me. It's like you're dealing with the chaos of the mornings, right? And then, like, someone might, when she was actually in school for like kindergarten, early first grade, here's my son, his baby's in a diaper. I got to change his diaper, get her off to school. Like, it was chaos, it's always chaos. So, and then it's like, it hurt my heart if we had like a rough morning, because then I'd leave her off at the bus stop, and that's what she goes to school with. Crazy
Mhm.
mommy running out the house, come on, we gotta go. The bus is coming. Panicky, I'm not saying every day was like that, but like there were definitely a good handful of days like that, and I hated that.
Mhm.
And then same thing, she'd come home and it's like, okay, I guess it's time to do homework, but she had dance or karate or guitar lessons, and I gotta cook dinner, and it's like the chaos of like, now you gotta do more stuff. And this is like ease. It's a good flow for us as a family, and then it really brings us back to a peaceful place. So our relationship is definitely strengthened by having more peace with the education part of it too. So
That's
that's good for me and
amazing.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could totally see that because yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. In the morning, man, it's a mad dash. And now I'm getting Ollie ready as well.
Right.
My
Right. You have
2-year-old
this
who's going in for full
dynamic.
days where he's almost 3, so he's in pre-K 3. And so, yeah, it's chaos in the morning. And a lot of times I feel guilt after that drop off.
Totally.
And I mean, granted, I mean, my daughter will find a way to make me feel guilty in almost any situation because she's very good about that. But she's also she's a highly sensitive person who doesn't, because she's so young, does not have a problem telling, like I say, oh, she doesn't have a problem finding ways to make me feel guilty, but the real actual response to that is she's a sensitive person who isn't afraid to go through her full range of emotions and tell me exactly what's going on within her as I'm yelling at her to get her clothes on and brush her freaking teeth.
Right.
So then then her full arc of emotion comes out before we leave the house at 8:20. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just like that's too much to cram into a small amount of time on a time crunch. So so that's, I say, oh, she makes me feel guilty. No, I feel guilt because I'm not creating the safe space for her to do her thing and have that ease, right? So I'm completely there. And she's even said to me, oh, can't you homeschool me? Because of course she's
Yep.
very well aware of the situation.
So many people are doing it too, so it's
Yes.
not like a
So
crazy concept.
she knows exactly what to say.
Mm-hmm. And you're like, I
um,
can, but I can't, but I can, but I
yeah. And
can't.
that's the other thing too, right? So you have parents too. I mean, every kid is different and every parent is different. So it's just a matter of whether, for me, I do not know whether I have the patience to do it.
Yeah.
And so it kind of leads me to my next question for you, which is like, because we could talk a little bit about how me and you have worked together previously, and the fact that you have your own business and that really just launched, very
Yeah, pretty
recently
much.
launched a new thing. So how do you have time with the kids home and
Yeah.
not in school for 6 hours, whatever the hell it is? Um, like, how do you have time to do all the other shit you want to do if they're,
Yeah.
because I know they're in your face.
They are. They are. That's time. Time is interesting. I was actually just having this conversation with one of my girlfriends. I was doing a project for her, and she had said to me, "Oh, just," I said, "When do you need it by?" Because I'm super busy, and I have all these other projects lined up. And she's like, "Oh, like it doesn't matter. Whenever, it's not for like a birthday or anything. Just whenever you get it done, let me know." Okay, not a problem. So I started the work on it, and then I had gotten sick, which so sick that I thought it might have been the big C. And I was like, let me take a test, negative. And it was just like a really bad cold.
Mm.
Knocked me out on my ass for like, oh, it's 10 days. And then 2 days later, I was good for like 2 days. I'm like, okay, got some work done, started finishing up her projects. I'm like, I'm going to get this done for her, doing other things. And then all of a sudden, it was like a stomach thing. And that lasted for like over a week. And it was every single day. And I'm like, oh my God, all while trying to homeschool and handle it was, so time really isn't an issue unless other things come into play, which it has been nonstop. So she's like, Jen, you need to relax. You're homeschooling. You're doing this. You're doing that. She's like, you need to tell people no. And I said, I am turning orders down. I said, and Christmas is coming. People are going to start putting those orders in. Oh, I should probably say that I have a crafting business. So I do a lot of gifts and gift baskets and things like that. So I said, I'm going to get a lot of those orders, and I have to prepare myself mentally for this. How am I going to, organize my time? So I usually do my stuff in the evenings.
Mm.
So unless something comes up and someone's like, hey, can you just bang out this t-shirt for me? I need it tomorrow. I'll tell the kids, hey, I'm putting Disney Plus on. Sit here, watch this movie. I need just an hour to, bang out 3 t-shirts or whatever it is. They get it. They're good for that. But because I have the flexibility of homeschooling, I'm able to do that. So I have to really work on that, prioritizing my time beyond just the evenings, because then it's like I want to spend time with my husband, right? So you kind of find that. But every Thursday night he has guys' night, so that's usually my night that I will sit in there for like 4 hours and just get through all my projects and get those done. But it's hard. It's hard to prioritize the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I'm finding it, ever since the September and the kids going back. I mean, this is the first time ever that both children for me are
Yeah.
in school full time.
Right.
So I'm taking advantage of the time, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it also feels like it flies by. It also still feels like I get distracted with other things. So that's my, obviously there are personal practices that I could alter or shift to make that, work a little bit better. But I could also see how inviting flow, which is so interesting considering what me and you have talked about in the past, because it's
Mhm.
like kind of like we're almost switching roles now, where I'm trying to like have this plan for the 6 hours that I have, and I'm having a hard time sticking to it, but I'm like trying to be regimented, and you're talking to me about flow now,
Well,
which
I've
is
learned from the
historically
best,
where I
so
was trying to promote you to get into,
you helped me get there. Yes, totally.
which I love. But
Mhm.
so I could see the situation sort of allowing for that flow, because you almost have to, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, yeah, there's like at a
yeah.
certain point there's no option.
That's what it is. Like if like just today I was working on handwriting with my son and he was doing really well. So I try to push it. I usually do like 3 lessons of handwriting for him each day. So he's doing so well. I'm like, wow, you're doing fantastic. Look how nice this looks. So neat. You stayed on the lines. This is great. I go, ooh. So I like try to push it and went to the 4th page and I was like, now look at this. And he started, his face went down and he was like, I said, oh, is this feeling like it's too much? And
Mm,
he was like, yes. I said, you know what? We'll do it tomorrow. It's fine. Closed it up, pushed it away, and I went with the flow.
yeah.
I could have been like, no, 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 you got to use this opportunity. He did so well. Let's see what else you can do. Like I could have pushed it, but I didn't. I said, not a problem. And again, that's the beauty of homeschooling. Whereas if that was an assignment sent home from his teacher and it needed to be due tomorrow, I'd have to do it. I have to sit there through the tears, make him do it, because that's what was expected of him. And I don't have to do that. So that is peaceful for me and going with the flow.
Yeah, 100%. And that's, yeah, it really is beautiful that it kind of allows them to be them and
Mhm.
not have it be like this sort of authoritative, like super regimented,
Which there's
structure.
there's value to structure.
Yeah.
I don't want to take away from that. Like I've worked in schools since I'm 14 years old. I've seen the value in structure. It does teach us how to be responsible, how to, there's going to be deadlines in life you're going to have to meet, and teaching them young that you have a responsibility to these things. I think there's a good thing in that. I'm not sitting here going, oh, school sucks. Don't send it to school. This is not that. This is
Mhm.
working for us. This is great for us. I recommend it to anybody who's interested in trying it. But I'm not saying don't send them to school.
Right.
There's value in that too.
Yeah. Wow, I like hearing about this. But here's what I also want to know. How on earth did you do Sober September? Oh, I'm getting a visitor. I'm getting a visitor apparently. Um, how did you do Sober September as you were moving into this new transition?
It
Oh
was
no,
purposeful.
what's the matter? And why is daddy letting you come bother me?
Oh, I hear him. I hear him. Is that Ali?
Come here, give me a hug. Come here, give me a hug. This is the Mom Bomb Monday episode
This is the
anyway.
real mommy things. Hi, cutie.
Oh, what's the matter? You want to say hi to my friend Jen?
Hi, Ali. Hi, you got so big.
Oh,
Look at all your
wow. Look at
hair.
that.
You're so handsome.
You're looking good. Okay, hold on a second. I gotta bring you upstairs. Okay, you can have some. Maybe Daddy will give you some. Hey, honey, I'm doing the interview. I will be up in a few minutes, okay? See, the guilt sets in.
Now, I'm happy it was you and it wasn't me because I have my kids in the basement right now watching Disney Plus.
Oh my goodness. See, that's the way. That's
Yeah.
the way to get it done. I'm sure that's what Andrew will do. He just happens to be off today. So I had the opportunity to do this, but little did I know. So, but yes, tell me like about
Intentional
your
to answer
experience,
your
but
question.
also I
Yeah,
give you a lot of credit for choosing to do this in September.
it was intentional.
Yeah.
It was I so everybody and their mother like turned to alcohol during the pandemic, right?
Mhm.
Quarantine. What else is there to do to drink, right? Everything shut down but the liquor stores. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, what the hell's going on here? Our business was essential. Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
So me, I've always like I have a very addictive personality. Even as a young kid, I knew it. Like if I got into something, I was into that thing. So even like in my younger partying days, I never touched drugs. It was just not for me. I had plenty of friends who were enjoying themselves with lots of different substances, but I stuck to alcohol. Young, I like the girl you spoke with. What was her
Mhm.
name?
Amanda. Hmm.
Yes, very similar story. Like I didn't think anything was wrong with it. All my peers were doing it. I was having a good time. This is what you did to socialize, right? Same exact story there. But I only stuck to alcohol because I was so scared to try anything else because I'm like, I know if I like it, I'm screwed. Can't do it. Not touching it. So I always made a hard and fast rule. Even back then, I said, I'll only drink when I'm happy. If it's a celebration, if I'm with people, if it's a good time, I'll have a drink. But if I was sad or depressed or anything else, I would never do it. So I went in with the expectation that this was going to be hard because, like you said, you thought, how in the hell are you doing it, right? Uh, with the homeschooling. So I was like, I can't, like, I'm going to do sober September now, like clean slate, right? Let me be completely pure there. Let me not lean on the alcohol when it's been a day. I want to be completely present day and night. So I chose to do sober September in the beginning of this. And I will say those urges for, let me get a drink. Let me, you know what? Let me open the fridge and see what we got in here. They were there. And
Yeah.
almost probably once or twice a week, it would be like that urge, that push, that
Hmm.
inner, oh, it's time for a drink, right? And I just go, oh nope, still September, nope, almost there. And I have my wine buddies who like love to drink with me. I can't believe you're doing this to me. Oh, I'll see you in October. Things
Oh,
like that. And like just lovingly, because that's what we do. We crack open a bottle of wine and we BS with each other or whatever. But so it was not difficult. I got to say, I thought it was going to be difficult.
yeah.
And it wasn't. And then even my husband came home with a bottle of champagne on October 1st. And he was like, I figured it's October. And I said, that's
Aw.
great. I said, I love it. I said, but I'm not really feeling great right now. I'm going to have some ginger tea and I'll let you know how I feel. And I wasn't feeling up for it. If I was truly having a real problem controlling myself, I think I would be jumping the gun
Right.
to pour a glass, and I didn't. So I felt very proud of myself that I was like, I do have that addictive personality, but I'm not necessarily addicted to it.
Right.
I don't need it. So it felt good to know that I could do that.
Right. Well, that's the thing is that, yeah, I mean, even I've been talking about this in the Sober October challenge, the fact that we don't necessarily need to, I mean, it's always good to check yourself, right? Like check
That's what it was
yourself before
for.
you wreck yourself.
So that's our house
And
motto.
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having that be a purpose to taking a break, right?
Mhm,
But at the same time, I think we have to be careful with the labeling.
mhm.
Okay, so why am I doing this like is it to prove that I am not addicted? Is it to prove that I am not an alcoholic? To prove that I don't have a drinking problem? Like all of these labels that we've been given, that
Yeah.
there's a stigma around all of them.
Yeah.
So, in other words, so as soon as you go into that category, it's like you're trying to make sure that you don't get into this category. Well, if we're trying not to be in that category, then that proves the stigma is there. And
Mhm.
it kind of, then you get into a self-shaming and you get into the stress from all that. And then you want to drink more. So it's just like not productive. So that's what I've been talking about it from a perspective of awareness, which is basically, I'm sure at minimum, what you're talking about too, like what you sort of, um, what you were able to pull from this is sort of being able to take a step back and look at your patterns and notice when those urges come up. And the
It was
beautiful
a
thing, and you
physical
kind of,
urge. Like
right,
that push was like
exactly. It
physical.
is a
I felt it.
sensation that actually arises from within you. And so when you don't answer it with the alcohol or whatever else you're craving, it could be
Yeah.
sugar, could be salt,
Right.
could be anything, it could be TV, it could be your phone, it could be literally anything. You're going to get that same, it's like a little baby inside of you. Wah! Like,
Yeah.
like it feels like, to me, that's kind of what it feels like. Wah, I need something to pacify me immediately. Um,
Now.
yeah, now I want it now. Um, but it is, yeah, it is fucking physical sensation that you
Yeah.
can feel. So when you don't answer it immediately, it allows you to take a step back and actually notice that feeling so that you can, this is at least my experience, like that I can put it in my back pocket and I know when it comes up again and I can make better choices because I don't have this automatic answer to it, that it's like, absolutely, okay, sure, go ahead, have it,
That's
like, or whatever.
exactly what I took out of it. That I never once realized there was the urge, because like
Mhm.
you've spoken about too, like the mommy juice and all that stuff, right? Like it's like glamorizing it, and
Yeah.
all that, and I was totally like in that world, as you know, because we were there together, and just taking a step back from it, going, I don't always have to lean on that. Like, you know what? When I have that push next time, I'm going to say, you can have your glass of wine or you can have a cup of tea.
Right.
Which choice do you want to make today?
Exactly.
And
And
kind of
that's the
like,
question, is like, okay, so that sensation is coming up because you need something. And it doesn't have to be a coping mechanism. It doesn't have to be, it could be a healthy self-soothing option. It's
right.
coming up because of a reason. You're stressed in some way, right? It's the same reason that there's emotional eating, like that you have this sort of need to de-stress or take the edge off, or it could be like like I was just talking about, you could just be really thirsty.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
You could just need some freaking H2O. And yeah, that'll make you just as cranky, you know?
Mhm, mhm. Definitely.
Um, so yeah, that I'm sure allowed you, like you said, to show up more presently as well. Like, did you find that to be an outcome of it?
Yes, I believe so. I won't know until I guess end of October, because now that I'm allowing myself the alcohol back in, I'm doing the challenge with you. As I said, I'm going to only socially drink. So sometimes, like, I love to cook. So, this make a great skirt steak. Oh, I need my Malbec with this. You need it, right?
Yeah,
I'm not gonna, unless my husband's gonna have a glass with me. Like
right.
it's gonna be a social thing. We're going to a party, yeah, I'll have a glass. But again, it's not gonna be to get drunk. It's to enjoy the alcohol for what it is, a little buzz, relaxing. I totally, now I know this as an adult, have used alcohol as a coping mechanism, and a masking of those anxieties, those social anxieties that I didn't think I had, because I'm super social. How could I have social anxiety? I'm super social. What? Right? But it is. I think, because I'm so social and I'm a people person and I'll talk to anybody, and I'm that person, I'm always expected to be that person. So God forbid I'm quiet for a day. Like, it's what's wrong
Mhm.
with Jen? And it's like, nothing. I'm just nothing to say. You have nothing to say. Like, it's so, you have a drink and you open up, and it's one of those things, you do lean on it for your
Mhm.
personality, to, like, and it's like, oh wow, like I didn't realize I did that, until I became an adult. So
Yeah.
I just it makes you become more present and aware when you slow down.
Yeah. Did you notice anything as far as how you felt, how you looked? Does it, what,
But
was
yeah,
there
my
a
friends are like, "Oh, you're
physical?
gonna lose like 5 pounds just from not drinking." I said, well, first of all, I didn't go to the bottles with when it was the pandemic purposefully, because I didn't want to be that person,
Mhm.
So I actually drank less. I've drank less now since the beginning of the pandemic than I ever have before,
Mm.
just because I was like, I know myself. I need to take a step back. No, no, no. So that helped, I guess. So I wasn't really drinking that much anyway to stop. I lost a pound and a half, about, I think it was. So it's not really a whole lot, but my clothes definitely fit like more smooth. So there's a lot of like the bloat, the sugary, was gone. So that's
Yeah.
been nice. I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I'll take it. Yeah, it's just, and again, it's less about how you look and more about how you feel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like that, I mean, I had that too, where when I did this last year, it was probably the first thing that I noticed was less bloat in my stomach.
Hmm.
And and so that it has like a heaviness, that feeling of having like that bloated belly
Yeah.
has like a heaviness to it that I feel like, I don't know, for me, it feels like it translates to just like sleepiness in my
Hmm.
brain. Like it's just, that
Foggy.
right, that
Yeah.
gut brain connection is just like you're exhausted, you're lethargic, like that's it. It feels like a heavy slowness. So when that was gone, I felt lighter. I felt like more like sprightly, like more
Yeah.
just
Good one.
like
Right?
be
Yeah.
able to, and more like agile.
Yeah.
So there was that difference immediately. And the really weird thing that I took with me, you know, and, literally just like probably haven't had probably had one glass of red wine and surprisingly, in the last few months even. And again, and it was with
Wow.
like, like a lasagna, where I
Yes,
had
right.
to
You
have it.
had to have it. Yeah. Like,
And it was like a half a glass because I still now notice like the first time that I had a glass of red wine or a sip of red wine, even after having taken that break from last year, this same time last year, off all alcohol, my stomach blew up right away. My
okay.
stomach blew up. I turned red, like how you got it creeping up the chest and then through the face, everything just gets all rosy, and my nose stuffed up immediately. So that could be an allergy, could
Yeah.
be. But and a lot of people have, I mean, we've probably talked about this in tons of our wine
Yep.
tastings, right? Like people feel like they're allergic to sulfates, but it's not
Yeah.
really sulfates, it's more like environmental allergies or just an allergy to something that's in the wine.
Yep.
Sometimes it's not just grapes, yada yada yada. But at the same time, that's all well and good, fine. I, being in the wine world, being a wine lover, being a foodie, so on and so forth, admittedly, now I can say in retrospect, I was in complete fucking denial that any of those symptoms were happening every time I drank a glass of red wine, and I was a red wine drinker. Like,
Right.
you wouldn't really see me often with a glass of white or anything else for that matter.
Right.
So having that experience where it's like, oh God, okay, I'm later. And then that first sip, I'm blown up, red, stuffed
Wow.
up in my nostrils. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, Sam, like this was happening all along. You just didn't want to see it. But it's a little bit of that, but it's also that you can't see it because like you said, those sensations
Yeah.
become more available to you
Yeah.
because you allowed yourself a break to
Yep.
look at it,
Right.
So
Because
it's
you're not
just
even aware.
awareness.
Wasn't even you were like it wasn't even like you were aware of it and you were like, oh no, it's nothing. You weren't. You were drinking.
Yeah, I was a little
Did-
bit.
you're-
I was a
but
little aware.
what I mean is like your body was like, oh well, this is when I drink wine, that's what happens. It's like, okay,
Yes,
so
and that would be my
you
response.
know,
I mean, oh yeah, I just get red because people would look at me. Oh, why are you getting
yeah.
so red? It's just, it's no big deal.
Yeah, with no big deal. Yeah, it's not a problem.
But it's like your body is reacting, and then yeah, I think the next thing I noticed, maybe the next time that I had a full glass of wine, I woke up in the middle of the night sweating,
Mm. Yes, you
and
spoke about this. I remember your podcast. You had said you woke up with anxiety in the middle of the night.
yep,
And that is something going back to my like heavier drinking days,
right,
if I may. Before we started with the wine company we worked with, I really wasn't much of a wine drinker. I was actually more of a tequila drinker. I like vodkas. I love rum. Like I was more of a alcohol. I didn't like beer at all. So, and I drank, I partied, like
hmm
there's a whole nother personality in me called Tequila Jen, and my friends love her. She dances on tables. She's a good time, you know? But I will say this, if I took it too far, I would wake up, I'd be the spinning room, and then the thoughts would come flooding in. Oh, what did I do? What did I say? Why do I act like this? And it was the alcohol. Like now I'm
hmm
an older woman and I slow down a little bit on that stuff, and I can look back and go, you did it because you were drunk, dummy. Like, of course you
right.
did that,
And
said that.
how crazy is it that so many people, I'm guilty of it, I'm sure many people are, like, are curbing their anxiety with alcohol.
Yeah.
And then you can take a step back, especially becoming more aware and taking a break. You could take a step back and realize it's actually making it worse.
Sure. In the moment, it's great. It does what it needs to do. It's the band-aid, right? But then
Yeah.
what happens when you have to take the band-aid off? What does everybody do? Ooh, there's a phrase, it's ripping the band-aid right off, right? It hurts when you take it off. When the band-aid goes away, it's going to hurt because it's going to make it worse. It's not going to fix the problem. It's a band-aid for the problem. And when you're utilizing it as a tool, it's an unhealthy strategy. It's unhealthy coping mechanism, you know?
And at a risk of taking that analogy to a maybe unnecessary level, if you take the band-aid off and let the wound bleed and let the wound breathe, is what I
Yeah.
meant to say. So like take that into your emotional space,
Right.
right? The fact that so many of us are using alcohol to take the edge off, and then you are cutting off your full arc of emotion. You cannot, so you're numbing out so that you don't have to deal with something,
Yeah.
or whatever is stressing you. You just want to numb it out so you don't have to really feel it too
Deal with it.
much.
Yeah.
And then we are literally cutting ourselves off from actually like completely processing
Yes.
anything.
Yes. It
Like
literally
for example,
stunts your growth.
if I'm stressed out about like something that my husband said, for example, you know what I mean? And I'm like I'm like not in a place that I can like really open up about it right at that moment. So I'm all grudgy about it for like the rest of the day or into the next day or whatever. And now when 5 o'clock comes, I have that urge. I probably might even have a second glass because I'm numbing out now. I'm not just like, okay, it's 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Now I'm numbing out.
Yeah.
So, and then that's it. And then you stay in that space of irritability, of aggravation. It's festering, it's festering. Now you have resentment, you have a grudge issue,
Mhm.
you have all kinds of other problems that are
Yeah.
unaddressed because you
Festers.
numbed out.
Yes. Yes. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes we don't even discuss those things. And what happens? You put them into the back of your mind. It stays there. You may even forget what pissed you off, but you're mad at him.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Now there's just that simple, yeah,
Resentment.
it's that simple
Ugly
grudge that
feeling.
you're walking at, the chip on your shoulder issue.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
I think we're drawing the picture, of what the benefit might be. So anything else, like anything else that that you realized in the process, or like even, like I know for me that it changed it changed my bedtime situation, like putting the kids to bed, for
Yeah.
example, like little things like that, where I was like, oh, okay, so I'm not like already like sleepy and like grouchy because the glass of wine didn't actually help and it made me actually more tired. So now I'm more grouchy and now I just want you guys to go to bed. So
Yeah.
like all of a sudden when I wasn't drinking, it was like, oh, let's read an extra book. Oh, you need help with your toothpaste? No problem.
Right.
Instead of
Right.
it being like,
No, no, it didn't change. I think it was, I love that it changed that for you.
it
That's
was.
awesome. Not really. Just I think overall, the biggest takeaway was noticing that there was a physical pull every
Yeah.
time I wanted to partake or enjoy it. I was at a party and everybody knew I was doing sober September, so I took a wine glass and filled it with water. And Paul, my husband, goes, "Oh, that lasted long." I said, "It's water. Have a sip." I'm like, I just have it in the fancy glass.
Yeah.
It's fine. But again, still, I had to put it in the fancy glass. Like it's like those little things, right? I leaned on like the seltzers and the thin, tall cans, but they're
Mm,
not the hard seltzers. Just can't seltzer. I'd sip
mhm.
on that, and it's like it did the trick. Like like I'm fine. So learning that like there are definitely like urges beyond the actual alcohol, but maybe just the physical representation of what you're doing. It's like when
Yeah.
smokers quit smoking, they suck on lollipops, like it's that oral fixation,
Yeah.
right? So, getting a nice cold glass of water sufficed instead of pouring a glass of wine, right? So it gave me other coping mechanisms for when I had the urge to soothe whatever it was,
Yeah.
that was, I think, the biggest takeaway for me. It didn't really change a whole lot other than feeling more clarity, like you said, overall, because you get that fogginess if you take it too far, drink too much, or whatever it would be. But yeah, like I just don't. Sometimes if I'm having wine and maybe I have like another glass or a third glass or something, I think you start to feel crappy. You don't want to just take it too far. We want to feel good. That's the whole point. Is like maybe it gave me a little bit more of a threshold. Like what? Stop at 2 glasses. That's fine.
Yes. So then you have some perspective after taking the break, that you see what it was like. So I think that's the most beautiful part, is that you kind of take that with you so that you can slow things down in your choice making, instead of it just being like this automatic, like, oh yeah, it's happy hour. I'm doing this. I'm drinking this, whatever. So you have that ability to slow down and just like, yeah, drink less. 'Cause that's what
Yes.
I do. Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's everything in moderation. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you because that conversation that I had, which was another Mom Bomb Monday episode with it was called Sober Curious with Amanda May. If you're watching this and you want to check that out, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Um, but we were talking about addiction and we were talking about recovery. And those
Right.
are really important concepts to just open up about and just like, let the floodgates open and let's all talk about this shit. But at the same time, that's why I wanted to talk to you because it's like more of a, somebody who was, already drinking socially. And then you notice when you're bringing it in to like curb your anxiety and stuff like that, but you still do it, but you're mindful of it, but
Yes.
it's still happening. And, I was there too, but it's just a matter of like, okay, like, oh, I was just saying this to the people who were, in this Sober October challenge with me. It's almost like an act of rebellion against what we've been taught,
Yes.
that because we've been taught that alcohol is just like a part of every occasion and it's a part of taking the edge off, and it's like happy hour every day is like a totally normal thing, and it could be a totally normal thing, but it's like in moderation, and none of that is taking into account how highly addictive it is and
Yes.
how it could spin out of control very quickly. But even if it's not, even if there's no addiction in
Mhm.
place, like no real, textbook definition of addiction in place, when you are more mindful about your intake, that is massive because you're choosing you over choosing what you were taught and all that you've just absorbed from marketing, from messaging, from programming, from your family who, may
Society
or may
in
not
general.
have
Yeah.
just made it a normal thing, right? So, you get to choose what you want for you versus what you're taught, and then you also get to see what it feels like to make healthy choices when you're trying to soothe yourself. And it's empowering when you can be like, oh no, like, and then you see that you can do it,
Yes.
that you're not like a slave to that urge
Yeah.
and you're not attached to anything. You can just release that attachment and like it's like choosing you. It's like, okay, no, I'm going to make a really active, rebellious choice
Mhm.
to have a seltzer.
Yep.
Like,
My green teas, my chamomile teas. Yes.
even if, because like some of us are up against a little bit of judgment. You said, oh, your friends were like being playful about like, okay, see you in
Yeah. See you
October
in
type of
October.
thing. And I'm sure it was playful, but I'm talking to people with doing this challenge with me who are literally like, oh no, like my family is judging me hard
That's
and
so
like looked at me like, oh, is she an alcoholic type of thing? It's
right.
the friggin' labeling again.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, those situations come up, but it's all growth because you learn from having those interactions like, holy shit, like, are they judging me legit or am I judging myself and I'm just perceiving this?
Sure. Sure. Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like something that everybody could learn something from.
Yeah.
100%. And in moderation. I mean, like I said, am I definitely drinking a lot less already? Yes. Am I probably going to stay in this realm for the next few months, especially, up through Christmas? Yeah, where it'll be like even for November, it'll probably be really moderated type of
Yeah.
thing because I'll just be in this space of being aware when those urges come up. But again, yeah, then the holidays come along and yeah, everything in moderation, but still everybody is entitled to indulge,
Yes.
from time to time. I mean, sometimes it's just like, okay, like, well, throw all caution to the wind. Fine. Everybody has those
And there is
moments.
an element of fun to that as long as there isn't an addiction element, right? Like if it's like it's not because you have to, it's because you want to. There's
Yeah.
something fun about having like a whole crazy night where you wake up and it's like sunglasses and Advil. Last night was mad real, right? Like Kanye West.
Right.
Like, it's like it's something crazy about that. You have a
Dude,
good
where's my
time and you're
car?
like, my poor liver, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I'm never drinking again 3 weeks later, right?
Yeah.
But yes, as long as there's a healthy element to it, it's a choice. It's not I need. I feel like that is where it gave me perspective. Yes,
Yeah.
big time for sure.
Beautiful. It's all necessary, all of it.
Yeah.
Both sides. I love it. This has been amazing. And I'm so happy that the homeschooling is going well.
Me too. So far,
'Cause
so good.
it sounds like it's like been a game changer, and I love that for you. I love it on you. It looks good on you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. All right. And I'm sure we'll get to see each other soon, hopefully.
Yes.
And so tell us real quick where to find your business on Facebook, because I just want to let people know where to find you, because she makes these amazing gifts and baskets, and she's so crafty and artistic. She's also an artist, and it's like it shows.
I'm also
It,
a makeup artist.
yeah.
I service New Jersey and New York. Yes. So yeah, so it's yours truly, and there's a ton of them out there. So it's going to be a little difficult to find. But I think if you go to yours truly custom gifts boutique or something like that is my group. I'm sure you can tag it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's there, and I do send the things out for deliveries. I'm sending stuff out to Vegas, Florida, all over the place. So I will mail it to you if you need it as well. And as of now, I'm only taking Christmas orders, as we were talking about earlier, timing things out. So I
Yeah.
kind of
Makes
stopped
sense.
taking anything unless it's for Christmas, Hanukkah, after the holidays type of stuff. So that's it for now.
Get your orders in, because it'll be here before we freaking know it.
That's so true. So true.
Craziness. We're not even done with Halloween yet, and we're already
No,
talking about this.
Christmas. I know. It's crazy.
All right. I love you so much, Jen. Thank you for talking with me. You the best. I'm going to cut us out of here for a moment and talk to y'all later.